Hey everybody, it's Thomas. Time to talk about blah. Yep, that's what we're talking about. All that mumbling aside, we are starting on a kind of weird page today because, well, I had a bye last week, so nothing's really changed for my team since we last saw each other. I thought I'd take a look at the rankings. We can kind of talk about what's going on and who has pretty good chances moving forward. So, at this point, I feel pretty confident about it. I mean, 3 wins should almost guarantee you in. 2 wins probably puts you in pretty good competition for second place, especially for Group 1 here. Justin and Chris are both at least have one win under the belt. Zach just has the 2 ties ahead of him, or behind him at this point. So, yeah. It's not impossible for Zach to get up here. He basically has to win out, though. He's got to beat Chris. He's got to beat Jessup at least once, but probably twice. I mean, it's basically if Zach manages to win his last 2 games, or 2 of his 3 games, he should be in good. He should be in an okay spot, depending on how Chris does. So there's still a fair amount of competition. I mean, we're only 3. We've only played 2 weeks of the group stage, so it's kind of hard to make big predictions. But I mean, obviously, at this point, things are tilting towards Jessup and Chris a little bit here because they all win. But yeah, so looking at Group 2, it's kind of a slightly different position. Well, similar but slightly different, I guess. Just because our buys have been a little more evenly distributed. Theirs are kind of clumped up in weird ways, which you can look at when we can talk about the calendar. But yeah, I mean, there's still a fair amount of competition here. I have to win 2 of my next 3 games. Greg has to win 2 of our next 3 games. Mark has to win 2 of his next 3 games to guarantee a spot in the playoffs. We'll see. I think, looking at records in the past and team values as raw value, I would say that, our group is a little more competitive. I would expect that, I think Chris and Jessup statistically have a better advantage here, whereas the 3 of us are relatively tied, all things considered. I mean, my team value is higher, but that isn't necessarily an indicator of anything. Indicator of anything. All right, let's jump over to the other calendar. Next week we can do some more like solid predicting for sure. Some matches that happened this week. We had Chris versus Jessup. This matchup just happened. Jessup pulled out a win here. I mean, this game is it's fun to watch in a lot of ways, and it's weird to watch in other ways. So Chris lost 2-1, but Jessup's hit dice were not the magical ingredient here. The big part of the reason I would say that Jessup was able to do as well as he did, despite suffering, a huge number of casualties and KOs and even a death, is because of heat. Sweltering heat just stayed all game. Jessup got a blitz and 2 rerolls. So yeah, weather never changed is the point. And for some reason, Chris kept losing guys to heat, and Jessup wasn't losing any. So even though Chris is removing all these pieces, he never really had a big player advantage. And part of that, too, is Jessup had a relatively deeper... Well, no, Jessup did have a deeper bench because he had 13 players instead of 12. So... yeah, it's kind of a weird game in a lot of ways. It's definitely a pure victory for Jessup in a lot of ways. There's a ton of injuries to soak up, and certainly his SVP is not nearly what it normally is in terms of his overall development, especially with the death too. It's kind of a big drain on his overall participation. But yeah, I mean, some good plays certainly on both sides. But Heat was kind of the big winner here. We can look at Jessup's team in a little bit, and we can expand on that more. But in terms of SPP, I mean, not a bad week for us, on paper. We're looking at 8, 13, 15 SPP. But you have to remember, a lot of this is getting sucked away by having a piece die. So on net, it's not a huge gain. Chris, on the other hand, walking away with a ridiculous amount of SPP, 10 in casualties alone, right? Absolutely huge. And then we combine that with the 10 over here, a total of 20 SPP, which is absolutely crazy for this late of the game. I mean, it kind of makes sense too, especially because you have more hitting skills on this team now. But yeah, it's hard to feel too bad for Chris at that point. Yes, he lost 2-1. On the other hand, he also got 20 SPP and hit 5 people and killed somebody. So, let's call it a fair exchange, I guess. Chris did sustain a few KOs and casualties, though. I mean, it's not like he went totally unscathed in all of this. One of the kickoff results was a bribe, and Jessup took good advantage of that and was stomping on everybody. Turn 16 foul control, which is pretty impressive. If you look at Jessup's team, though, yeah, you can see gaping hole where a diving tackle lineman used to be. I think that's probably the best possible outcome for Jessup, though. If you're going to get stepped on, sort of helpful to have it be the piece that is least valuable on your lineman. And one thing I guess I'm not really talking about too is Jessup did suffer some spiraling expenses. He lost 10k of his winnings, so it's only technically 50k, but he's got tons of money at this point, so whatever. Where was I going with this? But yeah, overall, Tree Man still want to CP away someday soon. Thrower finally passed enough, or maybe got an MVP here. Nope, just throwing like a madman. Maybe killed somebody. I don't know, whatever. The important thing is this thrower is now level 4. Accurate dodge. Got a couple of choices what he could do here. I think the easiest choice is just get block or something like that that'll keep you on your feet. He could also get sure hands, so he's another piece to doesn't have to commit somebody in the backfield to help pick up the ball. I mean, this piece is fast enough where it can cover the whole backfield on its own. Safe throw, not a bad skill. Leader is actually a really good choice here. Fourth reroll that you only paid 20k for is a pretty good deal, I would say. Yeah, I mean that's what I would say. I think getting leader is a pretty good choice here. Yeah, actually I really like leader. I mean, he's got a bunch of reroll skills, but it'd be nice to be able to, you know, like save a team reroll. For what am I trying to say? It'd be nice to have just a backup reroll in case you want to leap in or you want to do other weird things, like to die against blocks. This catcher leveled up too, which is good. Probably wrestle is what I would lean towards. He's got a fair amount of wrestle already, but I think getting just a good solid blitzing piece is good. Wrestle Dauntless or something like that would be fun. Well, lots of choices though. Yeah, I mean, I like that. I mean, you could just get blocked too and have just another piece out there. Then I do want to say that I do wish Jessup would buy another catcher at this point. He's down to 12 pieces, which, as he experiences this game, can definitely be a problem as you start getting hit, especially the way Jessup plays elves. It's something I feel like he should have done a long time ago, which we've talked about a lot. But, hey, whatever. Yeah, so pretty good week for Jessup, aside from the dead lineman, but again, kind of died on the best case scenario. And despite suffering so many casualties, you know, they were mostly badly hurt. So I think on balance, it worked out okay for Jessup. You know, wins are pretty important at this stage of the group, this stage of the season. And I can't get my stuff together today. In terms of Chris's team, let's see here. Somebody leveled up, I thought. Maybe. Let's check my stats here. Nope. Okay, nobody leveled up. I thought somebody had, but I'm wrong. Yeah, 20 SPP on a team with mostly level 3 players is not as impressive as it was, but that said, Chris is in really good shape now. I mean, these two pieces are a casualty and a MVP away. This piece is an MVP away, another piece MVP away, another casualty MVP piece away. Touchdown MVP away. I mean, people are getting up there. It's kind of sad that Ren 2 still got 0 SPP, and I'm sure that is a big problem for Chris. But yeah. So Gazlo 3 out with him this next game. Poor old Gazlo. A little unfortunate there. But yeah, oh, we didn't look at Chris's winnings, which I don't think were that substantial. Oh, yeah, actually 60k, so pretty good. Alright, on to the next game. We had Mark versus Grey Duck here. Man. This game is basically, I think, dictated by a couple of factors. I think Grey Duck made a huge mistake in the opening turns of the game. She overcommitted a little too hard to get to the backfield where the ball was. I think if she had been able to close off the sides of Mark's territory, it would have been okay, but because she left a huge hole, it was basically a waste and ended up forcing her to be off balance. Let's go to the match record chart. Combined with this is, after about turn 6 or so, Mark's dice remembered that, or Mark's pieces remembered that they can hit things. And hit them they did. Lots of armor breaking happened before that, but then they started to add up very, very quickly. The end of the first half, Gradick was operating with, I think, 5 pieces on the pitch. So at that point, you're kind of in damage control mode, and Dark Elves aren't as good at that as, say, my team would be, or Jess's team, where we've got a lot of extra mobility to make that work. I mean, Dark Elves are effectively slower at that point than Necro. That's already pretty close, but yeah. So yeah, basically Mark's hit dice did the thing. Not a lot you can do about that. 60k for Mark. Congratulations to Mark. We got 4 casualties, 2 touchdowns, and an MVP. Lots of SVP going to these hitting teams these days. Total of 19 total, which is, you know, is that right? 18, or 8, 13, yeah, 19 SVP. All in all, a very happy number. So cool. Congrats to Mark. Gradick walking away with a whole lot less, only walking away with 8, which is a little unfortunate for an elf team, but there's only so much you can do when you guys are sitting in the apothecary box. Yeah, just it. There's only so much I think Gradick could have done to keep the ball safe for Mark in the second half. She did okay, but yeah, sometimes the dice are not cooperative, and these things happen. Level ups on Mark's team. I don't think anybody leveled up. Maybe I'm just not... No, somebody must have leveled up. Who did? Oh! Whichever one of these whites that didn't have level 3 is now level 3. Both have Guard Mighty Blow now. Great. Good combination for those pieces. I'm assuming they're going to get Tackle moving forward. I mean, if Mark's feeling sassy, he could get Piling On. Lots of choices there. Poor Oscar the second. No SVP still. That's really unfortunate. Werewolves doing good work, though. I think they're doing absolutely great. This team is looking quite solid with pretty low team value, all things considered. Which I'm sure, you know, Mark would prefer to have more SVP and more levels, but hey, considering the number of unfortunate deaths he's had, I think this team is doing really good. And it's still a big threat. You know, a fast team that can take on elves is really good right now, especially in a group with 2 elves. So yeah, that is that. Let's look at the Gradick squad here. I don't think we have any level ups here either. Oh, this is post bye. So Gradick gets the bye this week. Got 40k out of it, which she had a couple of missed game pieces, so this is kind of lucky timing. Let's Blitzer leveling up is awesome. A couple of potentially good choices here. Dodge, certainly an option. Sidestep's really good. Yeah, I kind of like all of those, honestly. Some sort of agility skill would be nice. She could certainly get Dauntless if she wanted to. She might roll doubles and get another guard, which would be good. Frenzy is not really that necessary because she has Witch Elves, which is what I was thinking of. I don't know, a couple of choices to think about. Assassin here at the MVP, which is good and bad, I guess. Gradick's also in pretty good position to have some level ups here. Yeah, this team's doing pretty well as well. It's certainly scary to me because it beat me so bad, but, you know, could be alright. Yeah, I think some sort of agility skill here, sidestep or dodge, is probably what I'd look towards. But certainly there are tons of good choices available to a Blitzer on a Dark Elf team. And she's a ton of money, so hey, might be a good time to hire that 4th alignment. I think she needs it, but she can certainly try to push her luck here. Whatever. Alright, let's take a look at some other teams here. We've got, let's take a look at Zach's team. So I was talking about how Group 1 is kind of weird. Group 1 basically has their buys lumped up together. So this week is a rematch of the previous week, which in Zach's case means he gets a bye. So let's take a look at how Zach's team's doing. The answer is pretty good. He's walked away with 70k both weeks, which is kind of insane. Gotten SVP on some pretty important pieces here and some pretty whatever pieces. This time around, he got a level up on a Berserker and a Norse Werewolf, which is absolutely phenomenal. This piece needs Mighty Blow like yesterday. Once it does, that'll make it really, really good. This piece needs Block like I thought 1,000 years ago, and I'm sure that'll make Zach's life a lot easier. This team does have the potential to do a lot of damage. The Yeti is extremely good and has definitely been a big turning point for Zach. However, I mean, Still a lot of 7 armor value to contend with, and these werewolves being low skilled is not helping him out a lot. We'll see. I could also see an argument for getting guard on this berserker, but I think you just go mighty blow. You already got tackle. I think it's pretty essential at this point. More linemen with things. Could get a dirty player lineman. It doesn't have one yet. If he doesn't feel like fouling, which understandable, he could also get fend, which would be pretty good. He could certainly get more tackle, but I feel like he's got a fair amount of that already. Yeah, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces with tackle. I don't know if he needs that much more of that at this point. I mean, tackle is never a bad skill to have, but I don't know. I think fend would probably do him more. We'll see. I mean, lots of options. Maybe they'll roll doubles and he can get guard, which would be great. Yeah, good couple weeks for Zach. I mean, these buys are really helping him recover. Hopefully, as he plays these last 3 weeks after this, though, it goes okay. He's going to play against some pretty tough competitors, so we will see how that goes. The funny part is Chris ends up with 2 buys in the closing weeks here, which is pretty good for him. And we already saw Great X teams. That's the other buy for the week. So let's take a look at the actual matches that are happening. We've got a rematch between Jessup and Chris here. Let's see, we'll be at 1760, assuming normal rolls, which obviously with Jessup is not a necessarily predictable thing to have. So 1760 for Jessup, and where is Chris? Chris will have 1610, I want to say. Yeah, if he doesn't hire the Goblin of 1610, you know, if Jessup hires more pieces, it might be a good argument for making this Gazlowe 4, but I think, I mean, I still think Chris should win this game at this point. He's definitely put a lot of damage in on Jessup. So I think a lot of the... As long as he doesn't get too sidetracked... I mean, Chris won through losing almost all of the rerolls or all the kickoff events, or having the kickoff events be a wash, i.e. a bribe or something like that. So as long as Jessup doesn't get too hit dice lucky, Chris should be okay in terms of getting people up and punching back, or being aggressive and punching first. If Chris gets first possession, it could be a pretty big deal. We'll see. Jessup still with no strip ball. Kind of a potential problem, although, again, Chris does have sure hands, so maybe less mileage against that, but Chris does like to carry the ball with blitzers quite a bit, so we'll see. Where are we here? Here we go. I don't know. I think Jessup currently, the record is 2-1 for Jessup, so hard to say. Each time I feel like it's been kind of extraordinary circumstances, but hey, you can't really count against that in Blood Bowl. But I still feel pretty confident saying Chris will win. He'll have Wizard money again, which, while less effective against Elves, I think getting just an Apothecary and a reroll, it will be, or not Apothecary, a Babe and a reroll, definitely good things. We've got me versus Mark here. Our match history is a bit weird. Let's see, where were we? So I lost this one 1-0. We tied this one 2-2, so these things do favor Mark quite a bit. He's had kind of a skill advantage against me for a long time, though. We haven't played each other in a long while. I don't think I had catchers any of the times we played. Maybe I had one catcher. I certainly didn't have any skills on it. We'll see. I've got a fair amount of wrestle now, and I do have a guard piece. We'll thankfully have a kick piece back as well. So we'll see. Certainly my leap strip ball guy is going to be annoying. Mark doesn't have any strip hands protection. Sure hands protection. So yeah, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about this. My front line is pretty good at this point. I've got this guy with nothing. I've got a dodge. I've got a dodge wrestle and a dodge piece. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Got blodge sidestep on this blitzer as well. That'll be really helpful. Got a ton of wrestle as well on catchers, so that's also good. Yeah, I mean, I think as long as I can move the ball around and not get too beat up and not roll too many ones, it should be fine. That's sort of my elf career here. But I don't know, Mark's got a lot of advantages on me now. Werewolves are really scary. Multiple Mighty Blow pieces just going to be a lot to deal with. Also, 2 Wrestle Ghouls could be potentially very annoying. I'm faster than this team, but only by a hair, so we'll see. A lot of advantages going Mark's way, and I don't quite have the money to dump in to just get an Inducement Wizard at this point. Okay, don't do that. So yeah, we'll see. Probably a tough match for me. Actually, let's check how much money I'm giving Mark, because I'm at 17 something annoying. 1770. Mark is at 1590, so I'm giving away 160. We'll see what he gets. Knowing Mark will probably be a bribe, because why not? I don't know. I need to win this game to challenge stay in the playoffs. I think I have a good chance of doing this even with our match history, but we will see how that goes. Quick perusal through the Hall of Fame. Most Experience player, congratulations to Cheese, written 42. A lot of players, only one player now on this list that isn't level 4, so that's pretty good for us. Obviously, some of these are skewed by, you know, what am I trying to say? Skewed by buys and things like that. But yeah, even ignoring this piece, most of the pieces on, the vast majority of pieces on here are now a level 4, which is awesome. Best score. It's actually getting pretty competitive. 7, 8, 9 still with this. Cheese holding on to the top spot, but Muffins and Kargath right behind there. Yeah, fair number of elf players on this list as well. Muffins obviously doesn't really count. So yeah, I mean, not maybe as much competition as I think, but still. Once you get past the 9, relatively clumped together, but we'll see how that goes. Best thrower, Dog, 23. It's a lot of SPP just from throwing. 13 for me. I'm guessing Jess is going to hold on to this top spot for a while. We'll see what happens, though. Thrall will likely move up to 3rd place for that, so that's pretty good. No new interceptions yet. Surprising considering how much throwing we do here. Most violent players Squatch with 14, still holding on real tight. Vol'jin up to 11, though, so not too bad. I'm expecting these big pieces to just kind of hold on to this spot for a long while. Best runner Thrall at 376 now. Very comfortable lead over Parsec. That's what happens when you don't play for 2 weeks in a row, though. So we'll see what happens as things progress. Parsec certainly in pretty good stabbing distance of getting to Thrall, so we'll see how that goes. Beyond that, yeah, I mean, it's pretty much going to be between these 2 pieces, I think. Dog might make it up to 3rd place. We'll see. Pretty close, actually. We'll see how that goes. Best thrower, Dog, 232 yards. Traps Logic at 198, so pretty close there. Thrall, not even close. It's definitely going to be... I think Dog still has a pretty good advantage on me here. I had to throw pretty far to catch up even, so we'll see what happens. Survivor doesn't mean anything, because why would it? Best killer... yeah, we're just adding people to the list, basically. So many skulls for the skull throne. What are we up to now? Deaths. Statistics say we are up to 17 kills, 19 deaths, so we're still good ahead of the 1 death a week mark, which is what it is, I guess. Best reception goes to Cheese still, which makes sense considering there were touchdowns scored. Elves, basically. Not too surprising, elves throw a lot, so it's not unexpected to do that. You know, looking over, so we've had a total of 169 successful passes, of which, look at the total, 127 of those have been by elf teams, so, you know, there's a pretty good discrepancy there for agility is a pretty good thing, I think. Okay, recap of my predictions. I think that Chris will win, and I think that I will win. Yeah, sure. We'll see how this goes. It's going to be a pretty interesting week. I mean, the good part is all of our teams are relatively close, so exciting time to watch. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll talk to you later.